Hello, America, and the entire species. Please listen too, because this is also how we are grouped, and it is all from what is more than that and less than that. Already, as forever's complete identity, the identity of value / value progression that generated the origins of origins. The identity that physics is a semi-nature relationship to it, where it has and how it's in relationship to itself, invisible but still discernible. Identity as value as nature, and nature as value / nature as value. Simultaneously, it is necessary to use the word slash, the word / value / and or has other names too, like the solidus, that listed on Wikipedia.com. So the point is, these are three bonded semi-natures of one complete identity, as the cell nucleus, as the cell body, as the cell wall. Not even a doctor. They are manifesting demonstration to us of this. So, species, body, wake. Fake breaches break. Step aside. Be trial tribe. See, we have to. I was telling you guys, it's bad. The way they have the economic value system originally still employed for a breaching method. So where they have all truths and facts methods, quality of fact, cheating nature, used to lie, used to self-value roles, all locations, areas, states of all modern nations. Criminal and ceaseless natures are positive, simultaneously criminal and ceaseless natures of negative like justice. Pretended positive. Pretended, in other words, what simultaneously defends that is manifest as a fact-cheating nature style in relationship to the identity that nature is. An identity of relationship to, it's invisible but still discernible per science actually. This is what Alpha and Omega, the ancients, revealed. Before semi-ancient criminal foreign influence, tactical criminal foreign influence, it says again, of reception of the sciences, but no one realizing. It was an offensive assault against human relations tactically to make every single modern nation A through Z more and more defending what would and does stay creeped into the short words and the long words of our species. So we have the words and the positions of each of the branches of government individually grouped together. Each of the locations of the sciences, including homeschool, each age of fact-cheating nature. So this is what America, the Elderly Powers Act, is simultaneously child ground, all gathered round, as a means to release, enabling them and ourselves to afford that unfathomed, adaptations unfathomed. Or the food comes out at this time to the elderly homes. In the pathology of infrastructure, using that word metaphorically, we're going to, in other words, that has to be used in relationship to how and why slavery was left in the North and the South sickly distinctly. How simultaneously, even though it is a truth For example, different surface value nations were involved with the colonization of America and of their countries over there before their modern nations were founded. Already, what was grounded were all victims. All reactions is affect nature. Nature's all ulterior from the one we are nature as, tied to our fact-cheating natures, our long words and our short words. So little rap guy and friends are counter-obfuscated, their agenda, for time reasons, things like that. So, but we'll examine. There's a vertical and horizontal database, organized crime method that each modern nation shares, because it's exploited first and way worse. But subtle. This is where fact-cheating nature, collusion, is with all the worst things that happen with areas, and with all the good things simultaneously. We're in an identity of negative value nature progression, maintained through criminal foreign influences, but through a method of it needs by it, rolls with it. For identity treatments too, tied to our fact-cheating nature. Science is about identity of value / value progression. That each fits. So language, this syntax. This is about the value / value progression as existence / space. Now, existence and space are semi-nature. They are increasing identities of volume by the identity of the origin of origins. The identity that is 5 semi-natures of itself, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. The way it is 3, from how it is 3 semi-natures of itself, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Its identity's relationship to itself, and the value of that only increasing, is the phenomenon of the perfect value nature system. One that these market systems, since before this, are victims, only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, sequence shifts, uses of like mass identity theft, fraud, roles, and collusion with the counters too. We have types of law. I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to show you each of the sciences recorded and involved with attaching people to fake locations, because of how the 3 identities of volume, the executive branch, from former director of the FBI down, and since before that and after that. So when we come to words like / values, like legislation. And so we have Wethersfield town offices involved with them ducking behind, and they have locations near where the Wethersfield police are now and used to be, with interbranch ground roles, with uses of the ground, in relationship to also uses of sustained lipoaggressions, which are sustained, cover up self-value means to further, needing to further more and more illusions where the rights to life, for example, were and are having been used to maintain all child programs, all elderly programs. We have live progressions from identity to ground locations and real doctors juxtaposed with sick ones originally and still. But we have to counter the various natures of courts in collusion with them with these crime methods. So they're pretending passions and emotions, forging names, switching names, forcing themselves into someone's house, and forging names, switching names, and making confessions. And these are people also involved interbranch, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously in collusion, stacking roles, stacking fake audio and video. Now, their motivations and roles with this is tied to the children and their roles through time with the vertical, horizontal, with overt criminal enterprises. Also recording how kept with counters to that in collusion with it. These are also, because of identity, the ground locations next to media locations. Also multi-front with the branches hiding their life progressions, hiding their remote uses of them, the remote uses of the family members, and things like that counter these other nations, that are with our roles with them, how we have shared roles with fire departments, also involved with the town offices and with the interbranch from Wethersfield since founding. Pounding drums till their all was stole. Vaccines. So they took away the what was grounded. They sustained Native Americans who fell last, but everyone had to fall, not realizing they were being invested, needing to react more and more their long words and short words were separated from the quality of fact-keeping nature that was going by the science that knows inventions work or not in relationship to this one identity of value progression. They are further positive or not in relationship to this identity of value progression. So we have to admit, just admitting is beginning of reliefs. Proper for regarding how we have a pathology of infrastructure since before cars that were involved with the forced sustained torture of and slavery of our founding parents and forced words upon them. Now this is also how they did it and do it against no matter how powerful a leader gets. Because the states, all locations, areas, states, fact-keeping nature styles in relationship to the sciences, the identity they share. They can't defend that and afford long words or short words proper, so they keep faking short words about people. Now how they did this and do this and keep this is in relationship to, it also reveals that and how they had roles with the World Trade Center attack and other nations with that also. But it's where we have, World Trade Center is involved with where we have litigation experts on types of law, on types of courts. So we have all the types of courts, individual, like District Court of Connecticut. It was involved with Harvard courts and New Britain Court and all locations. They've been stacking also things to corroborate, to make things look real, because they've been fabricating transcripts, putting fake audio and video, doing time treatments, making juries have the wrong outcomes, because they have a perfected original still. Like, for example, every time anyone makes opinions about, anyone speaks about what Jim Crow laws were about, is recorded as shock and awe, incomplete counters, because I had not once heard the phrase the phrases like predicate acts, wrongdoer, wrongdoing, criminal foreign influences used in regards to the premises treatment, and not only because they're in collusion, not for prejudice. They're in collusion through juxtaposed ulterior motivations for evil. But evil they would part from if it weren't for how the long words and the short words are not allowed demonstration of that which bonded them, which is maintained by a breaching method using human fact treatment nature styles, using human logic to keep in collusion with all identity ground locations, and including database. But this is maintained off the location. This is live progressions. This is all victims, but all victim predators. Where it counts, where the opinions of people are in the way of people they don't even know, and they're pretending to in the background, because from the directors of the agencies, everyone's at little jobs, and needing to react rightfully to the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Acts like predicate acts. There was a predicate acts delivery system method leveraged against America, and that is what American history is about. That is what America now is about, and that was America will always be, if told truly. And once liberated, we have people. If you're not going to tell America truly, you have to pretend other, offensively, every moment. Now this was engineered, motivations, natures, needs, interest, ulterior from what is actual. No, in a value market systems forced, here and there, sickly, distinctly, to keep how sickly, non-distinctly, for time reasons, everything like that, victim reactions, blaming on other things, others themselves. Or just, saying, oh, that's just beyond our control in relationship to our quality of fact treatment nature. Which would be fine if that's, but they can't put anything on paper now. So they have to pretend others. So they kept and keep the interbranch location standardized audio and video fabrication in collusion with their roles with on and off campuses, connected, and used worse because that's used remotely. We'll also examine how the overt criminal enterprises and the stewards of the witness protection program and a whole bunch of people associated with forensics locations, like a Phil and dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court alone. And so then they pretend passions and emotions as people that don't even know you, because they have also other police forms in their families, like state police, Wethersfield Police. They have an Inspector Mike. They have a Sullivan, who just called, not a female. Now it was implied that they have a female, but a male called and said he was Sullivan. Now these are also roles I've been asking for response for the others with 3 times. They more than 3 times, but 3 times they forced me for mental evaluation with people they recorded themselves with the same house. /S. There are 2 families that left years ago. Recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved interbranch and foreign collusion. And with this method, that has them as victims, but as victim predators to explain this. These are grounded evidences. This is phenomenon too, because it's related to, these are people involved with the words / value fact treatment connections between campuses and my street with the same house. Now there's a Phil Claw who's recorded involved with a whole bunch of people recorded confessed to demonstrate he's one of the ones involved with these two Mendes police involved on and off New Britain Superior Court and on and off Wethersfield Police Department predicate acts. They have crime methods where they pretend, where they're using the right to lie criminally, and they have been in cases. Now these are all people involved leading up to the World Trade Center attack, and in that long term and short term, right before it, and then since. The same nations involved with that and with the counters were already involved with collusion with other natures of organized crime, tied to the roles with it, with this consolidated off campuses, but on campuses, what they're doing with the databases, and with the kids of the interbranch victims, where they are predator roles with the worst offenders of the kids. And offenders against adults in relationship to that. They're playing sick games through kids. They're investing their kids to communications with other kids where they've been using the right to lie through criminal foreign influences where they know they aren't. Now this is also how they have the interbranch distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously kept needing to hide the same lies and lie progressions, quality of fact treatment nature, racketeering influence, worse than racketeering influence. Premises treatment, sequence treatments, identity treatments. No. Our subject is the slavery of, and the fact treatment nature, torture of, that the identity thefts against our founding parents. This is not to leave out. And this is not, when we separate a subject for time reasons and things, the difference when we do it by this science is that we're looking where this is the identity of truth as value as nature / nature as value simultaneously. Sequence nature is only invisible but discernible because there are identities of visible but still discernible, and they are valued simultaneously. And when we give that effort to have them actually simultaneously, trying to see, to be led by that truth that is also not the slightest exceptions denied, that identity of truth can't be used for lie. Means Santa's fruits, Santa's gifts. For example, if we don't believe in that, evolution's fruits and gifts are means revealed out of nowhere. So the Elderly Powers Act. This is also in demonstration of a grounded counter. It means to afford, through criminally foreign influence, monetary treatments, time treatments, identity treatments, and uses of the processes of everything to hide this, to hide actually recorded standing value of each branch of government. That is simultaneously, specifically so, where and how we have a quality of fact treatment that has to be able to say they value, because if you don't value that, see, but they have the exceptions in exception nature, where every day we're supposed to have admitted reliefs from how they were used remotely originally still, all identity of the law. all identities of the law of opinion / conviction nature. Nature is that identity which is a relationship to positive and negative, and its conjunction to itself as a trinity, as an only increasing identity of value of identity of relationship to itself, as itself, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, as all parts of you are distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously as you. So we're going to examine, leading up to the World Trade Center in New York City, Connecticut's interbranch and private tied to them, and overt criminal enterprises, and everyone else, how they are involved with a vertical and horizontal involved. All identity of the ground locations, areas, and states maintained, used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, human logic, fact, treatment, nature, quality, styles. Prepare your smiles. Evolution science only feels like game. Change. So, American cities, no one yet has said they're going to be the first. So they have to donate for the people who don't have. We're going to represent them with the cartoon, who don't have the computers, and when they do, all exceptions are employed with all identity of the ground positions as victims, specifically to keep self-cultivated the defenses of reactions, and as treatments of positive and negative, and of science, uses of words / values like science, uses of phrases like the right to lie, with regards to summaries of the law and of what is and what was standing, and how that, originally and still that was kept needing to hide that, and it was provided simultaneously the means to by other people needing to hide roles with that for their own reasons. They forced sick roles, not just in relationship to the most overtly sick things that were forced with the laws already entrenched in layers. A sickness that was caused by a criminal foreign influence breaching method, a predicate acts delivery system method. Now this is what American history is about. But we have convictions other. We have the crime methods of having types of experts use that expertise in collusion with the interbranch, already needing to hide from actual logic because of their role and how they've been doing this. They've been doing it with all private tied to them, especially regarding the ones with badges and legal and lawyers associated with mental health care. They're involved with all kinds of lipoaggression cover-up needs to keep correlation nature hurt all locations by people associated with all the faked audio and video that they just been typing transcripts into databases. This is since before computers. This ancient republic was organized and was revealed demonstrably by internation relations before they become tactically criminally foreign influenced. They knew how to reveal evolution's fruits and gifts to make sure. See, they have the words of science like prayer, like the process of prayer. It's all right if people might have opinions of other, they have this in collusion, for example, with interpretations of the law, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated self-value, criminally foreign influence, and delusions raw, which is relevant because they also switch names and forge names, the branches of government and the overt criminal enterprises, private ones, all opinion natures in relationship to them, in conjunction to as roles without locations with this vertical and horizontal database organized crime method. But to counter the predicate acts and the predicate acts delivery system method rolls with it, you have to counter how is off campuses maintained on off campuses collusion with which is interbranch and foreign policing too, and the overt criminal enterprises and the private ones and the military, interbranch, including all exceptions, exception nature too, and demonstration of the same thing that rolls with this off campuses maintained on off campuses, the value of identity and its fact treatment nature, value progression value, where they're switching names and forging names, knowingly saying other than they're saying, because like there are also judges and their family members that are recorded and involved with locations, worst things that happen, and with locations like kind of around the corner from the state capitol, with Park Street, and there was Alina's Pizza, and there people associated with judges and police forms and families associated with them, also involved with this, with overt criminal enterprises, and with the same house on my street that a Sullivan is involved with, and with dozens of people, everyone speaking through other people. Now this is also police chiefs years ago, and the one now associated with that same house since before they moved in there. Now this is also recorded since before they moved in there. There's an O'Brien family also involved with the interbranch through time, and medical families with them, and with a whole bunch of other nations with that too, and overt criminal enterprises. Those same ones, now they use their time to they make falsified police reports, and they've been fabricating things about innocent people, but you have to have that countered. So you have to get them from the names forging and switching. These are people from Connecticut courts, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they were involved with locations that were being used by investigators, investigations, and vetting identities. In collusion with that vertical and horizontal or organized crime method, worse than that, against fact treatment nature quality. Now, see, they pretend people make conspiracy theories by preventing the sequence shifts and the officers' confessions and predicate acts, roles, once a wire crime rolls with this Sullivan. They also name Stack, because I never met this Sullivan either. They had also attached me to fake quotations, fake communications with a older police brother named they switched their names to those guys too. He's also one of the ones. So there's a police family of Mendez, been a whole bunch of police associated with them. Eric Mendez, also involved with this on off campuses, vertical, horizontal database organized crime. I never had anything to do with him. I never had a campus with him. These are people also you don't see. They're in your grade, but they're in other classes or whatever. You don't see them all around. involved with identity thefts, where they're putting the right to lie leveraged in collusion with what they then have to pretend perpetually hide. Means then we had to counter things associated with medical campuses, like Harvard Hospital, leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack, and since, and other wars too. So we don't have anything but collusion self-value with all locations, areas, and states in that pathology of infrastructure and of, readings of statutes and of time treatments that are only capable of now valuing how they forge names, switch names, and make confessions into branch distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. That are also roles with how they've been using their identity ground locations and selves, and all tied to even their family members, used for abuses of each age of fact-treatment nature. Of course, think of the sickest places and things that were associated with that breaching method employed by it to keep where they were keeping fact-treatment nature, what the law was about. Sickly. And, writing other theater. Reacting, all victim reactions. But also with that method, keeping that self-value, self-cultivate. Roles with a semi-ancient propagated method that knew that if it separated humanity from the science of the identity that inventions work or not in relationship to, they are further positive or not in relationship to it, they could make humanity self-value the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Acts like predicate acts, natures like criminal and seditious natures, natures like wrongdoing itself, wrongdoers. They can make them blame them on other things other than themselves. This is also how the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, houses on and off it, people on off it. The state of Connecticut prison offices, houses on and off it, people on off it. Recorded and involved. Also prisons like Sandy Hook, fire departments, military. So when we have charged uses of what it means, those things, when originally still they were used remotely, are used remotely. Roles with everyone speaking through others and roles with what uses the branches of government, every individual grouped in together of its body. Individually grouped together. The branches of government, criminally foreign influence, used remotely, only capable of being live progressions to all locations. That identity they are is inseparable from the people that come before their courts when the same bad things keep happening. Same families associated with, then their family member going into the all ages and natures of campuses are maintained and roles entrenched as opinion nature / conviction natures, both pretending to be honesty, pretending it exists, and in other words, in relationship to these issues then and now, because it never did formally. Because we have the experts, FBI. When did they have the integrity to, for example, to speak about what caused slavery? They worse than didn't. These are breaching screen tool roles. We have CIA families associated with, per them on Facebook. Oh, it's on Facebook. But they're pretending to know me. Now these are people in collusion with this Sullivan, not giving the whole name. Now there's there are officers that have been forging and switching names. These are also officers that before and after that inclusion with a Leahy family, and they have involved with wire crimes with them, mail crimes with them, with various natures of courts and their family members. So everyone's just, rather than allowing free speech, they're fabricating audio and video. They're sequence shifting. They're valuing that those identity ground locations originally still criminally foreign influence. Delusions raw. Fake. CT must break. Betrayal tribes. We need to give the real medicine and steward. These are people also involved with the medicine places. Then they keep the identities of the companies like that, victim reactions, employed, collusion with our interbranch. Although you're either in collusion with that or you're hurt. And anyone, they're all hurt factually because they're preventing logic without criminal fraud and without collusion with the identity thefts. Frauds, worse than that. As a quality of fact should be nature of preventing mandated law while they have to pretend other. That's why they've been forging names, switching names, making confessions. Then they make overall allegations against people. Have them pick one name in sequence. Because New Britain, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court, all positions with it, retired and standing. Prosecutors, judges, their family members, all victims but victim predators. That's what's actually recorded. And they've been pretending others have been recorded with the same people and houses tied to the same house that this Sullivan just brought up, a Cololo family, with Phil Cololo recorded, confessed, and demonstrated as one of the ones involved with these Mendez police, also involved with him, with predicate acts roles on and off the Wethersfield Police Department, on and off New Britain Superior Court, per Bob Chase, too, and per themselves. So there was also a police chief years ago who's reportedly associated with that house through a girlfriend of his or something. And he was married, so they had motivations to keep things secret. But see, we have people I don't even know they attach me to fake locations. Now that's relevant because they've been coaching the people to wire crime roles with the campuses, intercampuses of each age and nature, not through time. So that's also relevant to them forging, switching names, and bringing into all people the fake locations while they're pretending to just countering other things. So there's also a Dillon family, and programs with the kids, including a Marines program, involved with the houses, involved with investigators, investigations, and vetting identities, even the stewards of the witness protection program. Roles with that, with locations associated with that, with body dumping spots, Fianza family. I don't know them, strangers that made all these confessions at once, tied to the Wethersfield, on off the houses on off the state judicial branch offices, and to houses on off 2 Rod Highway. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Dillon family, with predicate acts on my street and online with them. Now this is worse than extortion, into all kinds of this is also the various natures of courts, and of the same natures of courts are involved with the locations crimes as victims, which is they want us to call them predators because they're also tied to how they're forging names and switching names. They have the sequence shift roles, evidence racketeering. They're way worse than it's an understatement. I heard the phrase used on CNN and on Fox News, and by the president, perjury trap. But this is way worse than a perjury trap, and this is what this is also. These are people of Washington D.C. and World Trade Center, tied to Connecticut, with the pathology of fact-cheating nature, the trail that was covered up and is covered up through other motivations, nation need, interest, for how they've been crime rolls with locations, but as collusion with the people doing bad things, because that's a maintained outcome. Per their method with the kids force sustained. Not one has trained. Weathersfield Police chief is needing to pretend per criminal foreign influences that he's doing the things to protect his family. But people their own people made these confessions to me and to others, and involved with just me trying to get them. They attached me to conversations with my family I never had at all, and they know this, and they threatened that they could forge and switch names. Now these are people leading up to the World Trade Center attack. In the Trade Center attack context, and since what is actually recorded, they've been hiding their roles in Washington, D.C., and with World Trade Center, is roles with off-campuses maintained lie progressions, needed self-value, naive treatments of other people's names and identities. Punk excuses, pretended perception. Pretended perception of integrity, of interbranch in their family members, everyone, and their neighbors. This is a maintained self-value, but it's maintained criminally foreign influence through criminal foreign influences. This is why and how the overt criminal enterprises and the overtly criminally foreign influenced aspects of all identity ground locations, how they have so simultaneously, insidiously, and overtly, and the conjunction, the value of the conjunction of that, how it has been prevented free speech, how it has been prevented monetization of its wealth spring of value/S, especially to overcome that most overtly afflicted by that most overtly employed to be reactions to that affliction. Effectively maintain self-value, self-cultivated. Collusion with it. Blamed on all bunch of juxtaposed other motivations, natures, needs, interests. Uses of identity, no. Identity of the ground. I'll get the ground. So all we need is a representative. And this is the first New York game. And we need New York lawyer. And then after the lawyers are paid for, whatever you guys will want, we'll go for that. I mean, we'll just mean stack. So we'll have the means to do something here for the species that won't have legislation proper. So we're going to employ means from nowhere and we're going to admit elderly having been self-valued in a breaching organized crime method, fact-cheating nature enslaved. As each age of fact-cheating nature, sickly, distinctly. We're going to, and simultaneously for that, and to keep, not just blame the other things other themselves, keep defense of that, invested and capable of hearing when people report the sequence shifts in the predicate acts, methods, and uses of them remotely, each branch of government, each identity of the sciences stewards, simultaneously. Forgiveness is not to give up, but to have mandated law liberated, to have the nature of the law, which is value as nature / nature as value, to have that liberated, to have freedom not only through that, through and as the nature of this breaching method using human fact-cheating nature, this predicate acts delivery system method. So, my name is Anthony Wall. This is youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. Romulus, this is Romulus science. So we have to understand the American Revolution having been only a war in relationship to force, sickly distinct victims of the same thing, to blame it on things other better, but still through criminal foreign influences together, like England and America. And that's regarding this state too, this colony. So we have something that came from semi-ancient times, since before modern nations' religious leaders were born. Since before the messenger of Islam, thank God for incompleted counters, and since before Jesus Christ, thank God for incompleted counters. For example, how and why I had to leave cipher to be deciphered regarding what alpha and omega is about. And this is about syntax, and this is about Trinity. Because this is about one identity's identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. And so Allah's name was used to teach this, but as a scientific tool. We'll examine this. This is used to teach about the longing. That mother and that alpha share, that omega and that alpha share, with mother between. So, the Elderly Powers Act is to organize. We have to have, we have to do dietary things. See, they have all exceptions and exception nature to truths about how they have to be safe with medicines and stuff like that in relationship to diet. Employed to collusion. Again, as identity of the grounds, though. We have an abridged constitution. To explain about that, not by accident, we have everyone pretending not to realize that you have to use as evidence how the branches of government, like with witch trials, real or made up, how that shows that they were criminally foreign influenced still. How the tactically denatured Native American value/value progression system in memory of and preservation of ancient revelations before this, for criminal foreign influences. Criminal foreign influences, legalized or still criminal and seditious natures of positive and of negative simultaneously self-value, which is relevant to identity. See, we have identities of jobs, titles, stewards, originally and still. The subject of American history is about how they were used remotely. This is how they are still. So they're keeping the only people that are allowed to help us where we're going to need it sooner or later. Everyone need help. They're keeping that originally still, employed distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, each of the branches. Sickly. Specifically to keep factory nature prevented simple means from discerning it. And everyone hearing and only allowed to hear theater fake, where they've been using the right to lie. WFSB also has people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the agencies and with the overt criminal enterprises and with the prisoner, the stewards of the witness protection program, and the reported killers and people associated with the body dumping spot /S reported and actual. Per Enzo Fienza also verified this on Facebook. Also involved with various intercities, mayors, involved with child abuses, sickly distinctly and non-distinctly involved with elderly abuses. Now this is also why and how we had not means to adapt properly originally and still in relationship to things like healthcare impositions, not having the right material and things like that, having to overdo things and give up on other things when they have to do things. All that originally still was influenced by all the natures of organized crime that have nothing to do with healthcare, legitimate, that are maintained uses of the self-valued roles from off-campuses maintained vertical and horizontal database organized crime method roles, tied to inter-branch fabrication of audio and video in collusion with that. Simultaneously, their roles with private database relationships like WFSB, attaching little kids and their family members to fake locations, fake relationships to their own kids. Now these are people involved with other military too. Dozens of people on and tied to on-off two-route highway who were influenced by people all along Route 3, which goes by the state judicial branch offices. Also with this Enzo Fienzo associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and his confessions regarding this Dillon family. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with their juxtaposed predicate acts roles with others, non-verbally. I never had a verbal conversation with them. Another kid gave me an affidavit when he was a kid. He's one of the ones who, as an adult, is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts all along, with people all along Church Street in Old Wethersfield. Around the corner from it is there's an Old Town Cafe, and there's a Webb Stevens house. Webb's house. It was called Webb House before that, just Webb House. They left it like that, which is relevant. So they brought it to a theater. They made positive and negative treatments, which these are people involved with Washington, D.C., and with the World Trade Center that are involved with predicate acts that also have, in case interbranch, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court, from Hartford Courts, and their family members involved with the people on and off the campuses connected and exploited. Those are predicate acts, delivery system method roles, as methods for other nature's needs, interests, real and made up, but all having been used remotely originally and still. It's not complicated.